Hi, my name's Ian Campbell. This is another of my Passing Moments videos. What I want to talk today about is heat. Heat. And you think, what's that got to do with Christianity? Well, I've just been reading on the internet about the lodgepole pine cones, and apparently, you know, they're so tightly made up that only the intense heat of a forest fire can actually open them up. So a forest fire wages all around and kills and burns all around it, but the pine cone begins its life when the intense heat that the forest fire gives off opens up the pine cone. It's only the intense heat that is strong enough to open it up. And after the fire has died out, the rich soil that it leaves, the seeds love that soil and they pop out and burrow into the soil, and up springs brand new life. And you might wonder, what's that got to do with Christianity? Well, there are times in your Christian life when things get, for you, really bad, and you think to yourself, it can't get any worse than this. What is the reason? Why is it going on? And I truly believe that at times like this, it's when the intense heat is up that within you new growth actually begins. Because, as no doubt you've heard, in your comfort zone, things just don't happen because we're too comfortable. It's when things go really bad, when things get really hot, that we actually find out just what we can do, just what we're worth, just what actually is inside us. Because it's in those moments when it's like intense heat, when the battle's on, when things are really going against us, so to speak, when it really gets bad, we actually find out what we're made of. Because certain things only rise to the top when things get bad, when things happen. And God will allow these things to happen to show you actually what's inside of you. Now, I don't know if you're like me, I often pray, Lord, help me to know who I am. Who am I in you? What is it that I can do? What is my worth? What am I doing? And I think I know God listens, but I think at times like that he thinks, okay, I'll show you. But it's not all in the comfort of your own home. It's not all in the comfort zone. Sometimes God will allow something to happen and you really find yourself in a battle. And you wonder why, what's going on. But things that you do, you may move somewhere different and begin all over again. You may find yourself in a battle and do things that you never thought you'd do and get results that you never thought you'd get. But it was only in the battle when you actually found out what you could do. So I want to encourage people today, it's not every time, I'm not trying to say every single time, but I do believe with God's grace, there are times like the cone, when the fire burns intensely, it's the only thing that will release those seeds. And what kills actually brings new life. And sometimes God will allow things to happen to burn off, if you like, the old ways that you're doing things, the old sins, the way that you used to do life. Sometimes when you have to move, when things go wrong, it's like God saying, if I asked you to give those friends up, if I asked you to give that way of life up, would you? Sometimes, let's be honest, we wouldn't. So sometimes God allows adversity to happen, and it's like when we read in the New Testament at the beginning of the Christian faith, persecution broke out and the believers were, they were scattered all over the known world at the time. And guess what happened? New churches sprung up. Why? Because it was those believers, when they got there, they began new churches. They had to start out on their own and preach the gospel. But those places would never have found out the gospel had persecution never broke out. So I want to encourage you today, not every time, but Try to understand sometimes God just allows things to happen in your life to burn away the dross and actually refine you and show you truly who you are in Him, and actually what's buried deep inside you. Maybe it's the intense heat of what's going on in your life is actually going to release those seeds that are buried deep inside. You see, God knows you better than you know yourself. God knows things about you that you don't know, and there are talents and skills buried inside you that you probably don't even know or scared to use, and when you're in the intense heat of battle, you have to use them, and you find out that actually you're quite good at it. Actually you've got a new talent that you never realised you had. So I want to encourage you, as always, you know, God knows you better than you know yourself. The Bible says that God only allows what He knows you can bear, and sometimes He adds a little bit more because He knows it'll just push you over the edge to do what He knows that you need to do, and actually it releases you into a new way of life, and you realise just where you need to be, just where you need to be going, and what you need to be doing. I hope that's encouraged you, and if it has, pop onto my YouTube channel, ISE Videos, and subscribe or just like. But know this, God really does love you. I say this in all my videos. God really does love you and has great plans and purposes for your life. Just surrender to Him and let Him have His way. He'll never harm you on purpose and let things bury you so that you end up, you know, on the floor beaten. He knows what He's doing. So God bless you for listening, for watching, and I hope that's encouraged you. As always, see you soon.